Hi, I'm Bob Dukish, and welcome to Digital Electronics and also Electronic Communications. And I'm going to be hooking up a little project outside. I thought I'd show you about what we're going to be doing here in the fall. Similar to the project, actually, for the electronic communications people, we're using Bluetooth technology. So this is a real inexpensive Bluetooth transceiver. It's called an HC-05, about $5, $10 sometimes. And you know what that does is that relays the app over to the control board, which in this case I'm using an Arduino Nano. And the Arduino Nano fits into the breadboard, and it's got a couple of outputs that drives LEDs. And what I'm using this thing for as a project is for landscape lighting. I have the actual AC buried throughout the yard, which was a lot of fun to do, but it's got the wiring built in, to the yard system. And this is the type of a transformer that we use, where it takes 120, converts it over to 12 volts, but it's 12 volts AC. So on the project that I'm working on, I had to convert that 12 volts AC into a DC and able to run the Nano. The Arduino Nano uses 5 volts. The Bluetooth uses 5 volts and 3 volts. So there's another little bit of a problem there, but we'll work on that later. But so this LED section here came from Home Depot, kind of got modified. And then the question is, like in our classes, what's the hardest thing? Well, the hardest thing really is the wiring. It's really the hardest thing there is the wiring. Putting all the wires to hook everything together. And in this case I have 5 wires plus power and ground. So what I'm doing is something that is not really the proper thing to do, but there's an electronics theory called Dukish theory, and it's whatever works is what theory stands for. And so this has 8 connectors. The reason you can't really use Cat5 cable for stuff like this is because it's so thin it can't provide enough power, but I'm only going to use a small length of it, so it'll be okay. But what it'll do is this thing is programmed from scratch, by the way. We do all our work from scratch. This is programmed from scratch so that it'll light up red, green, or blue depending on the application, if the selection is red, green, or blue, or it can also continually just keep mixing those colors together or provide a white to illuminate the fountain. That's what this is going to be shining on, is a water fountain in the landscape. So, but this is just one example. So let's talk about the classes. The classes this fall will be digital electronics, which is my favorite class, and also another one of my favorite classes, electronic communications. So what will we be doing? Well, in digital electronics we look at computers at their very minute level. We look at, like the ones and zeros. Where do they come from? How do you generate ones and zeros? How do you store them in memory? How do you transfer them from one point to another? So it's pretty interesting. And it doesn't just have to do with computers. It's anything that works digitally. And then in the electronic communications class, it's Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, AM, FM, antennas. And communications is really how all of this stuff pretty much started. The need to communicate across long distances is what really spurred electronics and got us to the point where we are now. So I think we'll have a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. We'll see you in the fall.